Think Hamilton, think steel. A football team as hard as steel. Think pollution, the harbor as a sewer.
Smelly, stinky, floatables in the water, algae all over the place. It was probably as bad as you'd ever want it to be.
Who wants to live in Hamilton?
We have an image problem that we're trying to fix. And part of the problem, too, is Torontonians feel that we're dirty and we've got soot and we've got smog.
A lunch bucket town of 300,000, but a lot fewer lunch buckets than there used to be. Firestone walked away. Westinghouse cut way back. And then the big blow, steel. Half the workers were gone. Stelco, from 12,000 to 7. Same at Dofasco. It was enough to make a grown man cry.
Very difficult to tell another 1,000 people that they're going to be out of a job when millions and millions of dollars are spent by the federal government on an ongoing basis. That's why I'm angry. It's time for this country to stand up and tell the government that we cannot withstand the devastation to the jobs in this country any further. That's why I'm angry.
We want our jobs.
Give us back our jobs! Equal rights!
And down on Cannon Street?
It was my 54th birthday, and I could see that everything was finally coming to an end, finally coming to realize that this plant that had been there 27 years was going down the tube.
After 27 years of going to work and running your crane, what do you do the next day?
You're totally lost. You don't know what you're going to do. Just sit there and stare into space and wonder where, you know, what I'm going to do next. Where do I turn from here?
But it wasn't just on Cannon Street. In the classy suburb of Ancaster, Harvey Peckrell from the Dofasco computer department got the bad news, too. You've got 15 years experience going to school, getting degrees, working in big business with computers. You'd think you'd have it made.
Well, that was the plan when I went through technology. I thought that was going to be the case. Obviously, it wasn't, but...
Plus a university degree.
Right, it's temporary.
Suddenly you're on the street.
Pretty close.
And the street was an ugly place to be. Very little money around Hamilton.
Just 9,000 at Iverwin Stadium for Sunday's exhibition game with Calgary didn't create much new hope for the Ticats.
There was so little money, people couldn't buy a ticket to see the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
The team almost folded.
It did, and that was hurtful because we had so many people with passion and care that loved the Hamilton Tiger Cats that couldn't go to the game because there was no money. All the companies on Burlington Street, which is our industrial street, were restructuring. People were getting laid off. You never knew when you went home at night whether your neighbor was going to get his pink slip or not. It was just an awful period of time.
How grim did it get, say, back in '92?
Well, let's put it this way. The growth industry in '92 was unemployment.
So, what to do? They had to try to imagine a different world, a Hamilton they'd never seen before. First, the steel companies and unions had to get together. Second, jumpstart small business in a big business town. And third, diversify. Try to find more than steel in Steeltown. For 10 years, DennisBarlett had been head of the union at Butler Steel. When the company closed its doors, he walked into a new job, trying to find work for his 140 union brothers. He wasn't on his own. For the first time ever, the union and steel companies cooperated to look after the casualties. Why did you get involved in trying to find jobs for other people? I mean, you had a family to support. You should have been looking after your own hide.
Well, I guess I could have taken that route, but like I said, I had a lot of responsibility for looking after my fellow brother steelworkers.
Like Gary Irwood. So you went for about 8 months. You were aimless.
No, I tried. I was down at National Steel Car. I went down, put a resume in, tried to get a job there. I never heard a thing.
But he had Dennis Barlett on his side. Dennis starts his days with the help wanteds. ends them searching the internet. In between, he knocks on doors and passes out his corny business card. Dennis hustles and works his connections. He claims to have found work for 3/4 of his clients at the same or better wages. But the jobs come in a few at a time, not by the hundreds.
I think he had something in, like he had an in with the personnel manager at National Steel Car, and he went there and said, look, we've got a lot of older steel workers out of work. How about giving them a chance? And they took a chance on a lot of us. There's a lot of us down there.
Networking is the secret to finding employment in Canada.
So you don't wait for the ad in the newspaper. You might get the word from the bowling alley.
Anywhere. The barbershop, the bowling alley, wherever it takes. The pub, the steel hall. Whoever's talking about jobs, that's where we're going to be, and that's where we're going to be first to find what they're looking for, and we'll be the first ones there with a resume or cover letter, whatever is necessary.
Over the last 4 years, Dennis has found 820 jobs on behalf of the steel industry and the Steel Workers Union. Part 2 of the strategy. Here at the Greater Hamilton Technology Center, they're trying to create small businesses. Harvey Peckrell, a computer man, came here when his unemployment insurance was about to run out. In Harvey's program, there's only 2 weeks of formal classroom training. Then he had to come up with a business plan.
The more cards you give out there, the better chance you have of referrals. Because people will say, geez, I was happy, hang on, I've got a card.
Now he still gets advice from experienced business people. Usually only 1 in 5 new small businesses survive. Here they claim a success rate of 75%. Harvey's working out of his basement now, assembling and selling customized computer systems.
It takes a certain kind of person, a certain type of guts to do that entrepreneurial step, and it's a lot of fun, and it's always been something that I've been interested in.
The best thing that could ever happen.
Part 3 of Hamilton's plan, diversity. There's more to life than steel. Like Saskatoon, it's all pretty informal. A group of community leaders meet over coffee and donuts to hustle new business for the city. But here they have a fancy name, the Renaissance Group.
This is the kind of community that is not unlike a family in that we fight like cats and dogs, but when our back is to the wall and we have a sense that by fragmenting our efforts that we're all going to lose, there's no choice. We come together and we put the best case possible that we can.
Labor got together, business got together, and everybody came together and said, we recognize the problem, now we're going to fix it.
From 3 trucks 15 years ago, Ron Foxcroft's Fluke Transport has 200 today and keeps the same slogan, if it's on time, it's a fluke. On top of that, Foxcroft referees 50 American basketball games every year. From that, he got a new invention, the P-less whistle. He sells 40,000 a day in 98 countries. But his first love, boosting Hamilton.
I think we're good in Hamilton at turning a lemon into a lemonade.
After years of zipping in and zipping out of Hamilton, or just zipping right by, one day I decided to get off the freeway, take the slow road, and discovered this, the Royal Botanical Gardens, and then a whole lot more. Parts of Lunch Bucket City are positively trendy. Pasta you've probably never heard of, and it's hard to find a sandwich without alfalfa sprouts. Experience bodily bliss? Now, Hamilton's promoting eco-tours, and there's as many people working in tourism as steel. They've got new facilities and pull in 200 conventions a year. Hamilton's also a model for healthcare, centered on the McMaster University Medical Center. Normally feuding hospitals are now all working together. If you watched O.J. Simpson's Bronco ride, or have seen a shot from the Goodyear blimp, or sat through Star Wars, you've seen this camera at work. But the people who run Westcam like Hamilton, and it's never crossed their minds to leave for Hollywood. If your reputation is for being filthy, become an expert in cleanup. Phillip Environmental salvages the waste from steel mills. It's also a major industrial recycler and has gone from 250 employees to 1,000 in just 4 years. On top of that, there's Laidlaw, a giant in the garbage business. Hamilton is serious about cleaning up pollution. The sewer is brand new and built partly with private money. It's all part of a big harbor cleanup.
This really had the reputation for being the sewer of the country. Deserved?
Yes, no question. And it was back in 1985 that the community came together and decided that something had to be done.
People thought in the first half of the century that that was the cost of the jobs, but what we know now is that we can have both. We can have steel industries, we can also swim in the West End, sail, fish, and enjoy the harbor. So if we can have both, why not do it?
The new pollution standards for Hamilton Harbor are the toughest in the Great Lakes, but they're determined to succeed. 2,500 volunteers have helped in the cleanup, and it's cost a lot of money, almost $1 billion, some of it from the steel companies. There's more steel coming out of Hamilton today than ever. The Ticats are just as mean and in your face. The jobs are back, and so is the old spirit in the stands. Today, thanks to people like DennisBarlett, Hamilton has about the lowest unemployment rate in the country.
What are you proudest of?
Proudest? I would say when somebody comes in after being hired, and they're in the steel industry that they've been in all their lives. They're in manufacturing. They don't want to go anywhere else. They want to go back into the manufacturing.
They want jobs. They want real jobs.
Just jobs, that's right.
They want jobs, you find jobs.
We find jobs. Somebody from Hamilton down that highway scrambling for jobs.
But Dennis is running out of clients. Now he's trying to export his job-finding magic to other cities that really need his help.